Great news. We are allowed outside now that we are free from the evil interfering overlords of the European Union. So we can go outside to toast our falling down the rankings of the best-run countries in the world. We're now behind Narnia and Guylardia, which should come as a complete surprise to no one at all. And the company that has polluted our most famous and loved waterway is so well run that it can award itself more in bonuses than it makes in profits. That and more coming up with me, Nick Abbott, after the new news at 10 on LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Anybody care what this guy thinks?
No! Well, let's get back to it.
Pavement dining is to become a permanent feature of the High Street, Business Secretary Kemi Badenoch announced, as she said that plans to remove red tape for pubs and restaurants and cafes will make the most of Brexit freedoms.
What?
I mean, I thought I'd heard everything, and then I read this. Pavement dining will become a permanent feature of the High Street under plans to cut red tape and make the most of Brexit freedoms, Kemi Badenoch announced. I mean, it's just... what's the word? I mean, incredible is the one I'm searching for, I think. In other news, oxygen will become a permanent component of air, and the sun is to rise in the east as the minister maximises Brexit benefits. Am I hallucinating, or is this real life? Plans unveiled by the Business Secretary include, but are not limited to, proposals to remove regulations that make it hard for pubs, restaurants and cafes to get permission to serve customers outside. What year is this person living in? Since when is it hard for pubs and restaurants and cafes to serve customers outside? And in what parallel universe is that only possible since leaving the European Union? Only now that we are free from the shackles of the restrictive socialist superstate of the EU can we proud Brits take our drinks onto the pavement outside, unlike the French and Italians, for instance, who can only dream of eating al fresco. I mean, the poor Italians even have to use that English phrase, al fresco, when they plead with their unmoving EU overlords to be allowed to eat outside like we can in Brexit Britain. Pubs could also be given the automatic right to sell takeaway pints. Why would you want a takeaway pint? I mean, what are you going to take it away in? Are you going to march from your sofa past the co-op where you could buy 4 cans of beer for £5 to spend £6 per pint and slow walk back home again, try not to spill too much of it?
Booze.
What's she talking about? Kemi Badenoch is the actual business secretary. I mean, it's not like she's got some joke job like being Minister for Common Sense. The Tories pretend to be the party of business, and the minister in charge of business is reduced to coming out with this rubbish. Are they trying to make us embarrassed to be British? Because they should stop trying. Mission accomplished. Can you imagine what the hundreds of thousands of people sitting having an Americano on the streets of Paris and Rome and Belgium and Munich are going to say when they read in their papers that we British are going to use our freedoms from exiting the European Union to do what they have always been able to do in the European Union? No, you can't imagine it, because they'll be saying it in some foreign language. And that's another Brexit bonus. No longer will we Brits have to talk to each other in French and German. We are now free to talk in English like we always wanted to but couldn't when we were part of the EU. Damned regulations. And you might wonder, knowing this lot, what they might be trying to get away with while distracting us with this clown show. Well, the package will also loosen regulations on gambling.
What?
And if that isn't the it of it, buried in the small print, then I'm a banana split with cream on top. I'm sure the gambling giants will be very grateful. But that's not all. There's more.
Oh, no.
Bad Enoch is also introducing a Whitehall principle that extra regulations should only be imposed when absolutely necessary. So, not when a water company wants to offload millions of litres of raw sewage into our rivers. Regulating against that is unnecessary. Not checking the safety of the food that we import, that's been deemed unnecessary since Brexit. No regulation on whether we have enough power to keep the lights on, which we only just managed to do by sheer dumb luck last winter, and absolutely no need to go after the offshoring and tax avoidance of the donor class. Nothing to see there. She said a regulation programme introduced in the wake of Brexit had already cut 50 million hours of business admin per year, saving firms an estimated £1 billion. Other numbers she pulled out of the air that signify nothing include 8 and 300,000 and 42% and 52 billion. It doesn't really matter what numbers she or any of the rest of them throw at us. Absolutely no one believes them anymore. And on this particular issue, no one was paying attention because we couldn't get past the notion that until now we couldn't eat and drink outside until leaving the European Union allowed us to do it. I'll sum that up for you. Bad Enoch said, this government is seizing the benefits of Brexit by reducing burdens on business, pushing down the cost of living, and driving growth in every corner of the economy. Which would be true if it was National Opposite Day. This government have increased burdens on businesses by the catastrophic, ill-considered Brexit deal, the growth in the economy you would need a magnifying glass to spot, and absolutely no one is feeling it unless you're the king or called Sunak. And as for the idea of pushing down the cost of living, I'm actually insulted that she thinks we are that stupid as to believe that. And you should be too. She's phoning this stuff in. She must have thought, what total cobblers can I come out with that the proles will swallow today? You know.
The little people.
Not leprechauns. She said these reforms will give us back our entrepreneurial... these reforms will give entrepreneurial businesses more opportunity to innovate, experiment and capitalise on the UK's global leadership in key sectors. Key sectors like kidding ourselves we're still a player, when all the rest of the world is ganging together for strength in numbers, and we, for the benefit of a few oily charlatans who made a killing, have extracted ourselves from the world's biggest and most powerful gang, and are left in a corner of the playground, pompously addressing the rest of the school, not quite coming to terms with the fact that nobody's listening. 0345 6060 973. Text and tweets and such from last night. David says, God forbid if we have a hot summer and the beaches get packed, we will become the diarrhea capital of Europe. Who needs blue, clean beach flags? Not us. We have buckets of sovereignty to bathe in. Oh, the smell of it. Martin says, these are all yesterday's texts and tweets in reference to things that we were saying yesterday. Martin says, Hoover to close its factory in Merthyr Tydfil after 60 years. That'll create a vacuum. Daryl says, a listener with material.
Oh, no.
Daryl says, Sir Kid Starver wants to keep the 2-child benefit cap while Cruella Doberman wants it scrapped. Yes, and that should send alarm bells ringing in your mind.
Warning, warning.
Cruella Doberman said something that on the surface appears, I hesitate to use this phrase, kind. Cruella Doberman, the person that looks like the child catcher out of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, that person. The 2-child benefit cap. I don't know, maybe she wants more children to stick in factories or up chimneys. There has to be some evil to it. Keep in mind, by the way, whenever you hear that 2-child benefit cap that politicians keep insisting that the country can't afford any more for, that politicians themselves have awarded themselves a much more generous benefit for 3 of their children, not 2. Amazing, really. You, the little people, can only have a benefit for 2 children and a much reduced and pitifully poor benefit. We, your elected representatives, can have a much more generous benefit for 3 children. If any of this was happening in France, the entire country would be on fire right now. Jack says, it's not true. Oh, this is in reference to the that video that went viral of this girl complaining about how much a couple of ice creams were. And I made a mistake yesterday. I thought it was chewing gum in an ice cream. It's actually not chewing gum because, you know, that would be disgusting. It's bubble gum. Like, that makes sense. Jack says it's not chewing gum in a screwball. It's fruit-flavoured bubbly gum. It's served in a plastic cone, so it's good for the environment, as hermit crabs can use it as a lightweight shell when they end up in the sea. The gum is a sphere that is located at the bottom of the cone, so you eat it after eating the fake foam ice cream stuff. No, I don't think I'll be eating either of those things. If somebody gave me one for free, the bin would be eating it. And Lovemore texts, now I don't know whether that's his name or his hobby. I assume that it's a he. Sexist, could be a she. Or any of the 76 other definitions of sexuality that Rishi Sunak seems to be obsessed with. Lovemore texts, I live in Morden. There's a B&B block of flats after my house. The sewage pipes have just burst and the street is now covered in sewage. The stink is unbearable and it's meandering down the street. And if there's one thing you don't want meandering down your street, it's sewage. Cats, yes. Sewage, no.
This is LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
What in blazes goes on inside that head of yours?
Oh, you don't want to ask. 0345 6060 973. Ashford, Milan.
Mr. Abbott, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm all right. It's the weekend and it's all very good. Although when I saw the story about the Brexit freedoms and we can now sit outside, I thought, oh, thank heavens for that, because every time I went to Madrid or Paris or Rome, I couldn't see anyone.
No.
Sitting
no one
outside.
at all. No, that's right. If only they made the excellent move to leave the European Union, they could have a coffee on the pavement outside just like we can.
Yeah, and it's just almost if you tell a lie often enough, there are... can I be controversial? There are, and it's been proven for the last few years, there are people completely daft enough who will believe the nonsense.
Yes.
So, for example, a few months ago, Kemi Badenoch and her department said the Brexit freedoms are fantastic because we're exporting huge amounts of honey to Saudi Arabia. Problem is, the Beekeepers Association, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you... Also, they were saying that we export huge amounts to China in beauty products because of Brexit. Actually, had nothing to do with Brexit. China relaxed its laws on animal testing, so they can now export to China. Absolutely nothing to do with Brexit. However, some people who weren't not interested in facts will just believe what Kemi Badenoch's saying.
Yes.
Say, oh, yeah, Brexit must be working then. And
they believe what she's saying because they want to believe everything else that the government is saying about stopping the boats and about benefits cheats and about disabled people, taking more money than they should, which is the reason that your life isn't working out the way it should. And the next thing will be, undoubtedly, I betcha, single mothers.
Single mothers, right?
Because we haven't heard that one in a while.
And benefit cheats. I mean, the thing about the stop the boats around the plan, aren't we accepting asylum seekers from Rwanda?
Yes. But they don't like to talk about that.
But how can that be declared a safe country if we're accepting them?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an obvious.
You're just using logic, Milan.
I'm using logic. Have you seen any good films lately, Nick?
Well, I can't wait to see the new Mad Max film. Have you seen that yet?
That looks... It just looks a bit weird. I don't know if that's your kind of thing.
Did you see the original one?
I haven't seen the original one.
Not the original. Not the original. The one Fury Road.
No, I saw the one with Tom Hardy.
Yeah, isn't that Fury Road?
Fury Road. Is that Fury Road?
Yeah, the most recent one that came out, which is absolutely epic, and it's just, there's no story, it's just incredible violence from start to finish. It's just brilliant. So if this one is half as good as that, it'll be twice as good as anything I've seen lately.
I saw a couple of good films. I'm not sure if you're going to be interested in them, though.
Let me guess. One's called Saw 36. No?
No, it's The First Omen.
The First Omen?
Yeah.
Oh, with Mike Oldfield music. Isn't that the one with Mike Oldfield music? Oh no, that's the where they pull a devil out of a child. What's that called? The Exorcist. That's The Exorcist, isn't it?
Yeah. It's nearly that. Yeah. But there's another one called Abigail. But you know what? There's a certain... Okay, I'm going to sound controversial as well. There's a certain brand of cinema which I like to go to where there's not... You don't get riffraff there who are going to be on their phones and talking, whereas other brands of cinema, you can almost guarantee you're going to get idiots in there eating a picnic and talking and being on their phones.
Yeah. And they're probably watching another film on their phones while they're watching, because, fear of missing out.
Whereas this other brand, I like to go there. It's a bit more expensive, but if you're going to pay a bit more, there's a better class of people. Right. Does that make me sound bit snobby?
No, not at all. I'm completely with you. I never go to the... I go to the cinema about once a year, and I ensure to go at about 2 in the afternoon in the middle of the week when no one is going to be there because, people. I've met people, and I'm not that keen. So what's the brand of cinema you're talking about? Give me the first letter.
E.
Empire?
No.
Oh, Everyman.
Oh, yeah, you said it. I was in yeah. So it's expensive, but you're always guaranteed you're not going to get...
I wouldn't have thought that Everyman would be showing the slasher, the sort of kids slasher movies that you like from memory.
Oh, yeah, they showed Abigail. I really enjoyed that. It's about a little girl, 12-year-old, who's a vampire.
Well, because it sounds like one of those bonnets and a horseshoe gravel driveway films, where ladies pass notes to each other via an interlocutor. But it's not that at all. It's lots of blood and gore. Yeah, right. Get it.
But I'm not sure when the new Mission... Is there a new Mission Impossible coming out? I'm not sure if there is.
I'm furious because Tom Cruise has, on several occasions lately, shut down the centre of London. The amount of trucks and things that... Because I had filming in one of the places that I... that I lived in. I rented it out to film companies every now and again. They come around and they take over. They've got lorries up and down the street. This is just for a TV program, but for one of his films, oh my God, it's like every lorry in the world is parked in the middle of London, and you can't go down Whitehall, and you can't go around Parliament Square, and they just shut basically the whole of London, and because it's at night. And they light it up like day. In fact, brighter than day. It's like the sun is exploding in the sky. It's so bright.
Wouldn't it be cool if, LBC were in it, and Tom Cruise smashed through the window whilst you were like live on air.
I would like that. But I thought that he was, working furiously to get this film out for a June release. And it is, I think, coming out in June, but not this June, next June, in next year. So, not got to wait that long.
Oh, never mind.
Get on with it, Tom Cruise. All right, thanks a lot, Milan. Cheers, mate. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, I was furious when I learned that. Jeff says, the really scary thing about Donny's brain test nonsense is about 28 million Americans think he's a genius. I think it's much, much worse than that, Jeff. It's not 28 million, it's 128 million.
I love the poorly educated.
128 million dingalings think that Donald Trump is a genius.
He's a great guy. He's a good guy. He's a good person.
They also think he's an honest person.
I'm a person that wants to tell the truth. I'm an honest person.
Yeah, okay. Sure you are, Donny. And you get extra points if you get it in order.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Extra points for getting it in order.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Extra points, yeah. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Luton. Adam.
Oi, how
Adam.
you doing?
Good,
you
thanks.
Okay?
Yeah.
Good. So I was just calling when we were just triggered by your mentioning of how this country's falling into decline. And I was wondering if you'd heard about a week or so ago, the World Bank said that by 2030, Britain will be £600 per capita poorer than Poland.
What?
And I know. That's what I said. I mean, I'm not being offensive to Polish people.
No offensive to Poland, but that's embarrassing.
I was ashamed.
Yeah.
Because, and for one, they don't even have euros. They have zlotys. So does that mean the GDP is going to be lower than the zloty?
The zloty.
Because there was a time when Poland's lovely. We're not being offensive to Polish people, but there was a time when they came here.
Yeah.
To take jobs
unblock
we thought were awful.
Yeah, to unblock our toilets. Yeah, that's right.
And now
we're going to be doing the same for them.
What a world.
For zlotys.
What a world. And then, as well, also, obviously, when this year began, we thought we were on the up, but now we get cholera and dysentery on the menu.
Yeah.
But, they're telling people to boil their water. But then there was, people... you'd think, I can't drink the water, so I'll go and get bottled water for me. But then people were still giving their dogs and cats water. So you have to even be careful. Do you know what I mean? We're not even thinking how bad how bad we're affecting the ecosystem, because we're boiling water for ourselves.
Here's where we are. Here's where we are as a country. The people that were affected by this, and I think there's, as far as a map, which may or may not have been true, but even if it wasn't true, it doesn't prevent it from being a fact. It's suggested that the feces. Sorry about this, but the feces in water problem was much greater than confined just to Devon. But for the people in Devon, they are now being assured that the water is drinkable by the same people who assured them that it was drinkable when it wasn't.
Well, I wouldn't trust them for sure. But the fact of the matter is, if we're British and fish and chips is our dish, well, can we trust the fish that we're eating out of the same water that we're not allowed to swim or drink at the moment? Do you know what I mean? What's Ranjit going to do?
Absolutely.
Because there's no potatoes and there's no fish. I don't want to eat a fish that swims in my own feces. It's disgusting.
Yeah, or imagine one that's swimming in somebody else's feces. Worse. Yeah. But fortunately, the fish that are swimming in our feces are a fish that we don't like. Mackerel, that's what you get round these parts. And we sell mackerel to the French. We buy fish that doesn't taste of anything from the Norwegians, Adam.
Well, everything's good from that part of the world anyway. But I heard as well there's sewage tomatoes, because obviously the seeds that are coming out in our feces are floating in our waterways, and now people are able to find tomato. You can find fruit along the train tracks because of, I don't know why, but you can sometimes, I don't know if you've seen that, like strawberries and berries growing along the train tracks.
No, I've never seen that.
Well, now there's sewage tomatoes, so, you know, you don't get more organic than that, but that's not the Brexit benefit I was kind of hoping for.
No, I've never seen bushes of fruit. I've seen torn up old pornographic magazines, but I guess that was in the 90s.
Where are you hanging?
That was in
you live in Zone 3,
That
no?
was in the 1970s.
Oh, okay.
When such things were a thing. All right, thanks a lot, Adam. Got to go. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 10:30.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I really like you. Do you like me?
Christine texts, their plan is working. Deprive us of the healthcare and poison the water. That'll get the waiting lists down by raising the death rate. Sounds like a plan to me.
We have a plan, plan, or you just go back to square one. That's why it's so important we stick to this plan.
Sticking to the plan. The plan has been very, very good to him, personally. David texts, to be fair to the water companies, they just can't win, can they? We moan if they put sewage into the sea. We moan when they put sewage in our rivers. So they go to Plan C, our taps, and we moan again. It is very unreasonable of us.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
I mean, what are they supposed to do with it? Quite right, David. Give them a break. Belfast. Hello, Ian.
Nick.
Ian.
Nick, you're such a hypocrite.
Who, me?
Yeah. So, the UK is so bad that you're renting out of places for film crews.
What?
So you're not doing well, are you?
No, that's ancient history. That's like 20 years ago.
Oh, so you're skint.
I don't think the two necessarily follow from each other, no.
Well, you're making it sound like you've had to sell everything off because you couldn't afford to do that now. What?
Well, I don't know which show you're listening to, but I never said anything of the sort.
You never said that you rented stuff out there.
I did.
Yeah.
But what's that got to do with being broke?
Well, if you're doing that, you're not broke, so you're doing okay. In the UK that's so broken.
Well, as I said, it was 20 years ago, and at the time, my flat was making more money than I was, because I was unemployed at the time.
Okay, fair enough. Right, we'll go on to the human rights. We'll go on to the European thing that you were talking about earlier.
You're dropping that whole thing that you just started out with? That attack that's just dissipated on the wind like a bad smell, has it?
No, because you're making it sound now as if you're in the gutter, so I'll move on.
No, you keep saying that, and I keep saying no, I'm not, and I keep saying no, I'm not. No, I wasn't. But when needs must, I didn't have any work at that time, so I thought I'll let film crews come in here and rent out the flat for a day or 5.
That's entrepreneurial. That's fine. That's fine.
Right? Is it though? Fine. Because you seem to call in to complain about that.
No,
so now it's fine. Okay.
Because you're always complaining about the UK being such a bad place.
No, I'm complaining. I complain because it's badly run.
Well, yeah, fair enough. But you're going on about Europe as if it's panacea of beautifulness.
A panacea of beautifulness. Do you want to have another go at that sentence?
No, because
panacea of beautifulness.
See the European laws. They're pathetic.
Yeah. Are they?
They represent criminals. They represent. See Amnesty International.
What do you mean they
European
represent?
Well,
hang on a minute. Wait. They represent criminals. What do you mean?
Yeah. Because see, Amnesty International, the European Court of Human Rights.
Yeah.
They represent more criminals than they do victims. See, victims.
Surely there's a criminal. Each criminal has a victim. Isn't it equal? Because if there's a crime but there's no victim, that's not a crime.
No, because see a criminal. To me, they should have no human rights.
You think criminals should have no human rights?
No.
Wait a minute. Hang on a minute, Ian. You think that criminals should not have any human rights before they've been convicted?
Oh no.
Well, then how do you get to the point at which they've been convicted without sending them through the courts?
Right. I live in Northern Ireland where there's...
No, I don't care whether you live. How do you convict a criminal without sending them through the courts?
No.
No is not an answer. How do you convict a criminal without sending them through the courts?
Well, you don't, but why?
There you go. 0345 6060 973. I'll sum up that argument for you. It wasn't really an argument. It was just a collection of words, sound and fury signifying nothing. Courts represent criminals. You mean criminals are in courts and are represented by lawyers? Yeah, that's kind of how law works. Jill texts, I imagine that our tourism ministry will take a bit of a kicking soon due to the state of our coasts and waterways. No one wants to paddle in poo. Roll on the glorious revolution. Well, that is true, yeah. Why would anybody want to come here from another country when it's a country that's surrounded by poop? Oh, my God. Lake Windermere. Explain this to me, I double dare you. United Utilities is to pay £339 million of dividends to its shareholders for the last financial year, despite illegally dumping millions of litres of sewage in Lake Windermere. They dumped sewage in Lake Windermere, one of the most famous and loved bodies of water in the world. People come from all over the globe just to see it. And now, thanks to the let the rich do whatever they want because the consequences are for the little people approach, those visitors can now smell Lake Windermere before they get sight of its foamy brown surface.
Disgusting.
The increased shareholder payout, up 9.4% on last year, is substantially more than the £227 million it made in profits. And I'll pause to let that sink in. The most polluting water company in the land is giving its shareholders more in payouts than it made in profits. I mean, I know they work in water, but do they have to wring it dry? And as a totally unexpected bonus of this culture, they are telling us that we must pay them more for the abysmal service they provide.
What?
United Utilities wants to hit householders with an increase of more than £500 million on their bills over the next 5 years, and it's trying to persuade Ofwat to raise charges by 25% before inflation. And what do you think Ofwat's going to say to that? No?
No.
Yes?
Yes.
The so-called regulator has allowed the water industry to turn this country into an island of poop, in which you have to boil your tap water before you brush your teeth in it. So of course they're going to wave anything these companies want through. It's what they do. The company, which serves 7 million people in the northwest of England, came under fire from MPs this week after it was revealed to have illegally dumped sewage into Lake Windermere. Now, would that be the same group of Tory MPs that voted to allow their favourite water companies to keep pouring filth into our waterways for as long as they like, or the next 15 years, whichever is sooner? And now they're feigning outrage that the water companies are doing exactly what they allowed them to do. And if found guilty of wrongdoing by the Environment Agency over the incident in February, it could face fines, the Water Minister Robbie Moore warned. Well, I bet the company will be shaking in its Gucci loafers. A fine, you say? What, like the £800,000 fine for illegally taking too much water out of the ground, or the £145,000 fine for sewage offences, or the £156,000 fine for the 132 fixed penalty notices for breaching roadworks regulations, or the £300,000 fine for supplying contaminated water? Not this time, last time, because none of that seems to have affected them very much. It certainly didn't affect the amount of money it showered on its executives and shareholders. Last year's payout of £310 million came when the company, battered by rising interest rates on its debt mountain, recorded a loss of £8 million. They paid out £310 million to themselves for excellence in being them, and made a loss of 8 million. I mean, I'm no maths expert, but how does that work? Over the past 4 years, it's declared dividends totalling more than £1.22 billion. Its earnings were £969 million. And over the same period, its borrowings have swollen by £1.45 billion. Now, if you didn't know any better, as I certainly don't, it might seem as though they've borrowed money on the assets that we gifted the water companies and then given the money that they borrowed to themselves. If you didn't know any better, you might think that. The company said that it is committed to distributing large dividends, raising them in line with inflation every year for the immediate future, which is a giant 2 fingers up to the so-called regulator and the public in general. It's the worst offender of them all, and it gives more money to itself than it makes in profit. And the company was responsible for the highest number and longest duration of sewage spills into rivers and seas last year, with almost 100,000 what they call events.
Disgusting.
Events. I mean, you might assume that selling our most precious assets to foreign monopoly providers wasn't such a great idea. But it's just another day in Tory land. Just another way that the decisions that Margaret Thatcher imposed upon us continue to ruin our lives decades later. Thanks a lot, Margaret Thatcher.
Thank you.
For everything you've done to us. 0345 6060 973. Still, texts and tweets and such from last night. How many pages of these have I got? Oh, blimey. Alicia says, did you see Titchy Suit Size on Loose Women being outraged at the fact that there are people talking to kids about having 72 different gender identities? Do these identities exist on the same plane of reality as the 40 hospitals, 7 recycling bills and the meat tax of last year? The sooner he identifies as a Californian, the better for everybody. Nutshelled it there, Alicia. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
What number are you calling from?
0345 6060 973. John texts, why is the discharge of untreated sewage into our waterways allowed in the first place? That is an excellent question, John. And the reason for that is that if the super rich who own our water had to fix the infrastructure, which is their responsibility, then they would not be able to spend that money on themselves. Those yachts don't buy themselves, you know. Not that they'd want to float one around these parts. I mean, no one wants a brown hull, do they? Heston, Isaac.
Hello, Nick.
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Yes, right. You are aware, and I think the listeners and the nation need to be aware, right, that if we want our utilities back, like our water and and our electricity and our trains and all that, if we want them back in public ownership, we have to give 25 years' notice, right? Yeah?
Well, I don't know that that's true.
Yeah,
it's the first time I've heard that. 25 years notice. I doubt it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's on the weownit.org website. Okay, with regards to our water, 25 years.
Weownit.org.
Yeah, and also the on Question Time, one of the Tory ministers, I don't remember her name, she mentioned the water. And she said, right, and this is where the audience laughed, right? She said to clean up Britain's water is going to take 25 years. Now, the audience, that Question Time audience, fell about laughing, and so did I. a few hours later, I realised that Tory minister knows what she was talking about, because those same 25 years is the actual notice we have to give, you know. Somebody else, I think it was, I think it was Nick Ferrari was on the same show. He said his idea, which got a lot of applause, said straightforward. What I would do is straightforward. Okay, I would pass a law. Okay, I would pass a law. Okay, as soon as possible, that if they continue to pollute the rivers and our waters, okay, these people will go to jail for 5 years. If you can do it for the likes of Just Stop Oil, we can do it for these people. That's what Nick Ferrari said, and your colleague. And
I agree.
A round of applause.
I agree with Nick.
Absolutely, so do I. No. So,
but these people will not go to jail, as you know full well. These people will go to the House of Lords.
I know. Yeah, exactly. So, 25 years notice. So, if we say next year, right, in 2025, we want our water back. Okay, we can expect it in 2050.
But what happens when or if those companies go bust, as it appears that at least one, perhaps many of them, are about to do, because they've all borrowed up to their eyeballs and not invested that money in order to increase their profits. They've just, as is the case with British business in general, it's a British malaise, they borrow on the assets and then give that money to themselves. It's called greed.
Absolutely, yeah. And the firms and the companies involved seem to be called private equity companies.
Yeah,
you know?
Many of them
they
are.
Seem to be called,
many of them are the financial arm of other governments. Other governments are running our water, for crying out loud. This government is not even allowing a foreign entity to own the Daily Telegraph, but it's perfectly okay that they own our water, the most precious resource that we have.
Absolutely. And finally, to end, is that I was speaking to a cousin in Canada, one of my first cousins, right? And I said to him, right, I said to him, you know, the UK wants its water back because one of the companies is a Canadian pension funds. And his response was twofold. Number one, he says, we ain't giving it back, cuz, right? And number two, he says, what's a few thousand Canadian dollars between cousins? And I thought, right. So, oh, God, anyway.
I would disown that cousin straight away, Isaac. He's better off out of your life. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Tony says, lanyards, we were talking about lanyards yesterday because it seems like a dream, but this is actually happening to us right now. There's a Minister for Common Sense. You've heard about that, right? Yeah, Esther, the Minister for Common Sense. She's freaking out about lanyards because lanyards are this week's scones. I hope you're keeping up with this culture war nonsense, because each week they're going to have to change it to something new in order to keep you interested, to keep you angry. So we were shouting at at a cream tea last week. This week, lanyards. And Tony says lanyards are the tip of the iceberg. That is, the liberal left has totally destroyed the spirit of this country. Off, spelt wrong. I'm not really sure what you mean by that, Tony. Lanyards are the tip of the iceberg. That is, lib left has totally destroyed the spirit of this country. You're an idiot, Tony, and I mean that in a helpful way. Let's have Erith. Steve.
Nick.
Hello. Steve. Yes.
This water thing is beyond, and they're going to keep doing it. And if you don't pay them, unlike the electric, they can't cut you off.
The water people can't cut you off?
No, by law, because it's cholera and all them things and all that's a lot to do with it.
They could probably sue you into a black hole in space.
Yeah, but since 2021, I've not been paying them. And I got a letter last month saying, what did it say? It says, oh, you've missed a payment. I got a letter today. Yeah, but it gets better. The letter today says, please pay.
Yeah. Please, we're begging you. We're on our knees.
Begging.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because it's like, you pay someone to cut your lawn and they put the cuttings in your back garden and then they do the same again next week and you pay them. They'll keep doing it, won't they?
Yeah. Well, please do your best to, whatever spare change you've got around the place, Steve, just post it to your water company straight away, because the chief executive has got her or his eye on a Bentley, and they want that luxurious leather upgrade.
Could I mention one more thing quickly?
Of course.
This was about 2021 as well. Around about September, early October. I'm sure his name was Graham, and he wasn't responding when you went to put him on, and you kept doing the ding-dongs and...
the guy who was snoring?
Yeah, that's the one.
Right.
But every time you do a ding-dong, it
takes you right back.
It hurts my ribs. But I just wondered, did he ever get back?
I'm not sure. I think I may have spoken to him again, or he may have actually pulled that same stunt. In his defence, sometimes people do wait for a very long time on hold to talk to me, and it was late, and he may have had a refreshment.
Booze.
And
otherwise, someone maybe should check on him.
To check. Yeah, that's right. We'll send an ambulance over there straight away. If he's still alive after 3 years, then it'll be an absolute miracle. All right, good work. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, every now and again that happens, but that's understandable. If somebody, it's half past 12, and he's been waiting on hold for an hour, and, a little bit the worse for wear. And when I eventually go to them, they're flat out asleep, snoring into the phone. And I try and wake them up with the various noises at my disposal. I definitely thought this would work, but it didn't. 0345 6060 973. Leo texts, there are MPs within the Conservative Parliamentary Party, including Chancellor Jeremy Hunt, who are of the opinion that the state pension is a benefit. How insulting to elderly people. With threats to cut the state pension and the WFP so that the failing Tory government can bribe the electorate with reckless tax cuts and abolish national insurance, they have metaphorically thrown the grey vote under a bus and ensured a total wipeout at the general election. Well, the grey vote, up until recently, was the only demographic that was still determined to vote Conservative, 65 plus. Up to the age of 65, people were saying, in short, hell no, I won't go. Over 65, they absolutely loved them. Hang on. I just had to cough. Those oldsters just love the Conservative Party, despite everything they have done to them. Why they're still in love, I've got no idea. Maybe it's like Stockholm Syndrome, something like that. Maybe they are... In the same way that you get a template of how much things cost when you're young, which is why you cannot believe how much things cost when you get old, like a pint is £6 now.
What?
Or more. And you only are surprised by that because your template of what a pint is £3.50 or less. Same with the Conservative Party. You think, wow, the Conservatives, they're good with the economy and, strong and stable, and but party of law and order. And that's what you think. And that's what you get back from people of a certain age over and over and over again, despite all of the evidence that suggests otherwise. But then recently, even the over 65s had come to the conclusion that perhaps they had made a mistake. I don't know whether they rue it yet, but they're thinking about ruining it. Make no mistake about that. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Oh, hello. Care what this guy thinks?
No!
We don't have enough parachutes. This is getting embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. Chris texts, now the election campaign seems to be underway. Do you think that Tishy Suit Size will get a new set of scripted phrases other than plan, boats and square one? I bet he's got people working night and day. I bet it's their number one priority.
Under my leadership, the government's priorities are your priorities. The people's priorities. It's the country's number one priority. It's my number one priority up and down the country, and that will be our focus.
He definitely should be gripping it.
I'm gripping it.
He is actually gripping it right now. It's our number one priority. He confirmed, there's more. Chris texts about, thing I've already said. Plus, he confirmed to journos this week that the Tories are, quotes, better than the devil you know, which is about as convincing as your ex saying, let's be friends, after you have spent the last few years arguing and hating each other. Mary says the word destitute is being used now in the UK. How shameful. That word belongs in the 18th century, not 2024. Correctamundo, Mary. And Chris says, did you hear about Tishy Suit Size and his wife gaining over £100 million on top of their existing fortune due to her interest in Infosys? It's so reassuring, says Chris, that those government multi-million-pound contracts went to Infosys because we know that Suit Size will ensure that integrity, accountability and professionalism will prevail. I'm so relieved, says Chris, that they will have enough to cover the VAT increase on school fees when Labour get in. Are you kidding? They're not sending their kids here. He's going to be on the first private plane out. Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Nick. You know your water situation, and everybody's telling you can't pray. It's going to be 25 years, whatever.
Yeah.
I went over the Goose and Cuckoo.
Oh,
Remember
yes.
the Goose and Cuckoo?
I do, yeah. The Goose and Cuckoo.
Well, I was standing there by this stream, crystal clear.
Oh, yes.
You would have loved it. It was a jewel. It was just singing as it was going down the valley. Crystal clear. Good enough to drink. And I looked at that, and I looked to the right, and I could see 70 miles into England, the Malverns. I could see the Malverns from there. Mm-hmm. And it was a beautiful day. And I thought, poor old England. It is wallowing in this dreadful situation.
Yeah. Wallowing. That's a very good word. Wallowing, yes. And if there's one thing you don't want to wallow in, it's sewage.
Exactly. And what I just want to say is one thing. I don't know how many years ago. It must have been about 20 years ago. I remember going with the school kids to look at a sewerage works, and they were owned, and everything in Wales was owned by a company called Hyder. Hyder is Welsh for comfort, but it was a privately owned company. Somewhere between then and now, it is now publicly owned by Wales.
Yeah.
It is called Welsh Water.
Correct.
I have no idea how they did that. because there are no shareholders, all profits are reinvested, and there's a massive investment going on in Merthyr where they are going to totally upgrade the water supply.
It's it's a revolutionary concept. Welsh Water is a single-purpose company. That's all they do. It has no shareholders and is run solely for the benefit of the good people in Wales. What a revolutionary concept. If only other countries could... Oh, no, wait. Of course they do. The only country in the world that doesn't is England.
Exactly. And why? I have no idea. But it's possible. It's possible because they were privately owned when I moved 20, 30 years ago. And just to put the record straight, last night Malcolm from Bodmin phoned in to say that I never talk about Merthyr. Okay? And he said, you should go and visit Penskinner Bird Sanctuary. I don't know if you can recall this conversation. But
yes.
It struck home with me because he said, what do you mean, the cage? They're locking up birds.
A bird jail. Yeah.
Well, that place shut down about 30 years ago.
And you didn't tell us?
I'm telling you now. And it is actually closer to Swansea than it is to Merthyr.
Right.
So I just wanted to put the record straight.
Okay. Yeah, I think you've done just that. Good work. Thanks a lot. Oh, and another thing?
Yeah, Hoover's. He mentioned Hoover's, how fabulous the architecture was, because you got one up in London there. Some Art Nouveau architect.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny enough.
Deco, not Nouveau. Yeah. It's very, very
Whatever.
Deco. Yeah.
Deco. That shut down yesterday. Friday. Yes, it closed finally. There were only 45 people working there. There's a distribution centre, massive factory.
Yeah.
But it's just closed down.
What are they going to do with it?
What do you... Good question. Nobody knows. What are they going to do with the void up in Fossafran? Oh. You tell me.
I've got no idea, but... It's a big hole in the ground. What can you do with a big hole in the ground?
Fill it in with what you took out.
Yeah.
120 million. But, that's what it'll take to put it back in.
Right.
And nobody's going to do it.
No one's going to do that, no. All right, thanks a lot, Jeff. Keep your eyes peeled. 0345 6060 973. Gavin says, lefties argue for open borders and then moan when the infrastructure can't keep up because they drain, not contribute to society, says Gavin. Gavin is a headline writer for the Daily Mail. I'm afraid that's incorrect, Gavin. I mean, I know that you might like to believe that, but believing it and saying it out loud and writing it down don't make it true. There's indisputable evidence that people that come here, immigrants, contribute more financially to society than, on average, people who are born here do. They work harder and they pay more taxes. But, apart from being completely wrong in every respect, good work, Gavin. Better luck next time. Greg says, talking of portraits, we were discussing Prince Charles. Jonathan Yeo seems to have painted Prince Charles as the devil, which is a bold move. Greg says, talking of portraits, have you seen Australia's richest woman was upset by hers? I can't see why. It looks like the spitting image of her. It looks like Spitting Image did a portrait of her. And if that's what you mean, then, completely correct in every respect. She's furious. Dulwich. Hello, Tom.
Hello.
Tom.
Oh, hi, Nick. Sorry, I didn't realise I was on. Hi, mate. I just wanted to essentially just rant a little bit about this water thing, and if you've got time, maybe chuck in a little bit about Labour at the moment. I think I called last time I spoke to you was about the water thing when they were going to raise prices to fix the infrastructure that they hadn't spent the money on.
Oh, they're still going to do that. I think bills are up by 25% next year, something like that.
I literally said to you last time, I was like, well, surely we're not going to put up with this. We've been told what's happening, and we are, and right now, like I'm I'm at a point where I don't know how much clearer it has to be. Like, people in Devon can't drink tap water at the moment in this country, right? Like, what is going to get us really, really angry? I mean, apart from, lanyards and toilets and that business, it actually baffles me, mate. I'm quite young, in life. I'm not going to say like I'm as experienced as most, but I'm looking at this at the moment thinking, like, really? Is like, I'm still hearing things on the news about Rishi Sunak and hung parliaments and stuff, and I'm like, really? Like, is that the narrative? Like, we're not going to just remove this government completely? Like,
it's so desperate. People who are writing that stuff, it's as though they think if they write it down, it will become true. Hung Parliament, my eye. What are they talking about?
Do you know, mate? A little while ago, I think you were of a similar view to me, where you thought that, like, at the end of the day, as well as Labour were doing, the Tories are at one point were probably just going to get themselves together at the last hurdle and pull it off and stuff.
Do their usual trick, get their ducks in a row and win again.
I'm at this point now, mate. I can't believe that anymore. Like, after all of this, and I'm not being funny. Like, Sunak has tried a million avenues. He tries to go far right. He's tried to bring David Cameron in as the centrist hero and all this stuff. Nothing has worked, and I don't know, like, it's a thing about Labour. Like, I was questionable at first about Starmer, but now I'm loving it. Like, I don't know how, but no matter what that guy does, he's skyrocketing in the polls. And ultimately, I may have some sort of concerns about that, but at the end of the day, I feel like the Labour government is literally in the national interest at this point. And if he has, I'm looking at him doing what he's got to do, and it may be a bit dirty, but frankly, I feel like that isn't his fault. That's the state of what's going on at the moment.
The next election is going to be the dirtiest. I'll just make a prediction. It's going to be the dirtiest fought election in the history of this country, and all the dirt is going to be coming from one side, and it's not Labour.
I agree with you, but at the same time, I don't know, Summer did his speech the other day, which obviously went down in the way you'd expect, but then I'm pretty sure, like, Jeremy Hunt gave a speech immediately afterwards and didn't have the word Conservative written at all, but he had Labour tax rises or something like that.
Can you believe that? The guy who has risen taxes in this country to the highest level in any of our memories has the nerve to put Labour's tax rises on a lectern that he's preaching from.
And that was the fellow that was meant to be the sensible, responsible figure in the Truss government. Remember when he joined and he reversed all that business, and he was the guy that we could all look up to. And it's okay. He's the Chancellor. He's fine. Like, I do love watching this. If I'm honest, like, I've been sort of like into politics for about 10 years now, and I saw what they can do to Ed Miliband and Jeremy Corbyn and stuff. Like, they've got nothing on Starmer, to the point where they've actually tried to go for his deputy, and even that's failed.
Yes.
But even on top of that, while this investigation is going on, he put her front and centre. He is not hiding her away. Like, I'm not necessarily would say that I would naturally agree with him and his tactics, but frankly, I'm impressed at the moment, if I'm honest. Like, I would say though, like, I also think that the state of this country at the moment, like, forget the schools caving in for that RAC thing that everyone's forgotten about, and the health secretary. I mean, I'm not being funny. Who is the health secretary at the moment? I would give a tennis to somebody that can name her. You know what I mean? Like, no one knows who she is, and the NHS is on its knees outright. Like, so he put a figure in that no one knows. I think this is incredible. But I've said to your producer that if this was a Labour government right now, whether it be under Miliband, Corbyn, whoever, right, this country would not be putting up with this. Do you remember when Gordon Brown was overseeing that financial crash? And I don't know if people remember this, but he was actually quite a leading figure into resolving that.
He was.
Problem. He even got Obama to step up and say, Gordon's got a plan. I watched that documentary.
Exactly right. He pretty much, it may be overstating it to say he saved the world.
No, yeah, he was a key figure in it.
Yeah,
though,
he certainly was.
Yeah. That's what I mean. And then what did we do? We voted him out and got this, and still would. I just don't understand how people are not more annoyed at this.
He seems to me to be the last serious person to have run this country. Everything since him has been just a various shades of a catastrophic clown show. I mean, specifically...
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Him and the person that followed him.
Absolutely.
The one that was before him wasn't that much better, and the one since, I mean, good grief. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, it does.
Honestly, mate, like, one thing, if you don't mind, let me just say, another thing that sort of astounds me at the moment is, like, a lot of the commentary about Starmer is that, well, he's no Tony Blair and stuff. And, I think that, I was like, if he was like Tony Blair, people would not want that. Like, people I know the commentariat would say that, he needs to have the Tony Blair charisma. Like, no, I don't think that would work anymore. Like,
it used to be that people who ran a country did so because they had the qualifications to do that, not they had the qualifications to be a stand-up comedian.
And that's what I like about Starmer at the moment. Like, regardless of his intentions at present, I understand he's making some controversial moves, but I do think he is playing the Tories very, very well, and I'm kind of enjoying this in a sense.
Rishi Sunak, he tries to come across as kindly and unthreatening, and his efforts in that regard centre around his big brown puppy dog eyes and this kind of faux sort of yearning tone to his voice, as though he's been insulted in some dreadful way.
Honestly,
you know who he is when you peek behind the curtain. Every now and again, he sticks his face through the curtain, and you say, "Oh, that's who you are." Keir Starmer stumbled over a word. He sort of stuttered over a word, and
it made headline news, didn't it?
The drunken morons on the Tory benches made a harumphing noise you could hear from the International Space Station. And Sunak got up and said, in relation to his stumbling over a word, that is the reason that he is unqualified to run this country. That's who Sunak is.
Do you not think that Sunak's kind of losing his cool a bit, though? I've seen him sort of, get quite frustrated and stuff.
Yeah,
not just
exactly right.
But in interviews.
That's precisely what I mean. That's who he is. Not that fake, sincere thing, that act that he puts on.
I've said this before, mate. Like, I think he's 120 million quid up this year from that time. He's richer than the king now, and people, he's very good at least convincing enough people that he gets it, because clearly they're not as angry as they should be. But
back to what you said at the beginning, I have no idea why people in this country are putting up with this, because if this were France, this entire country would be upside down and on fire right now.
A couple of years ago, mate, honestly, that would have happened so long ago. I would have naturally been against that kind of thing at one point, but now I'm kind of for it. We need to do something.
Well, we need to get emotional. Yes, people need to get emotional enough, at least, to go out and vote.
I honestly think we're all just waiting for the election at this point. Everyone listening, we're just waiting now.
And I'm going to make a prediction. I reckon that the turnout will still be a miserable 60-odd%.
Yeah, I would agree with you, mate, which is so depressing.
What a way to run a country, eh? Tom, thanks for that. 0345 6060 973 LBC.
This is LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Okie dokie.
Tessa texts, I went to the free... This is all still from last night. Let me just check how many from last night I've got left. Oh, God. Look at the ones I've got from today. Oh, my God. That's ridiculous. Does nobody use their phone with their mouths anymore? You just use it with your thumbs. Chris texts, it's only taken 14 years to make our water as toxic as the same government who privatised it. Ironic, don't you think? Tessa says, I went to the free jazz in the foyer at the Welsh College of Music and Drama this evening, as in yesterday. Wonderful live jazz with a backdrop of Cardiff's Bute Park trees. It all went wrong when I asked for a beer at the bar and saw that all the staff were adorned with rainbow lanyards. Do people really get angered about such things, says Tessa. Yes, Tessa, you bet your life we do. I wonder what the next thing is going to be, because, like I said, we've had scones, we've had unisex toilets. What else? Lanyards now, rainbow-coloured lanyards. Maybe actual rainbows in the sky. They'll outlaw those, or they'll outlaw us looking at them. Something like that. I've got no idea. What's going to be next? It's bound to be exciting. I mean, they're going to have to really start ramping it up now, because it's beginning to look like all of them are going to lose their job. their place on the gravy train. Because the job itself, that doesn't pay the big money. Being in the room where the decisions are being made, that's where the money is. And that's what they're desperately trying to cling on to. That's what they're fearful of losing, because, 90 grand a year, that's neither here nor there. They're all complaining that 90,000 a year isn't enough to live on. So you know that that's not what they're concerned about losing. What they're concerned about losing is their place in the room when the decisions are being made. Bermondsey, Lavinia Grace. Lavinia Grace is listening to the radio. I'll be with us in 7 seconds when she realises we're on a delay. Here we go.
Oh, hi, Nick. How are you, my love?
There you are. Yes,
How
Lavinia
are you,
Grace.
Nick?
I am great, mate.
Lovely to hear you again. It is absolutely lovely.
Is it?
And can I just say something? I mean, it's made my night, actually, hearing your voice. It really has made my night. Yeah.
Well, it's made my night because I didn't think I was going to have a voice after last night, which is why I'm talking very, very softly, because I'm at the beginning of a 10 show in a row stretch, so I cannot afford to lose my voice at the beginning of it.
Well, you sound okay for me right now. But can I just say something? Yeah, no, honestly, you sound. Yes. What's the word? What's the word? Actually, very relaxed.
Relaxed, yeah.
Yeah, relaxed.
Very, very relaxed. Yeah, I'm trying not to raise my voice.
Can I say something to you, which is so important, Nick?
Is it?
And it's been going on. It's been going over and over my mind.
Over and over in your mind. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's. It's a song called "It's a Good Heart Is Hard to Find," and who actually sung that?
You did just now.
Fergal Sharkey.
Oh,
Fergal Sharkey.
Fergal Sharkey. Yeah.
Yeah, and just what I want to say about him, he should be knighted. And the reason why he actually should be knighted, because all this facetious that's going on in the country.
All the what?
He actually brought the facetious.
The what?
All the facetious, the feces, all the feces, what's going on, the poo in this country.
Yes.
He is
personally responsible for. Right.
Well, what I'm actually trying to say, what I can't understand about our government, they have been turning the other way, turning a blind eye, as you know, and everybody else knows, that Fergal Sharkey has, sort of brought it to attention.
He's popularised the issue. Yeah, popularised probably not the right word, but he didn't invent looking at the water companies askance, but he has certainly popularised it.
Yeah, but what I want to say about that man, he needs to be knighted. Does that make sense?
Well, it makes sense to me. Whether he would accept it or not is another thing entirely. I mean, if I was a rocker, I definitely would say no. I'm with Keith on this, as in Richards.
Okay, but
and David Bowie. David Bowie didn't accept one of those things either.
Rock and roll. Well, all I'm going to say about Fergal Sharkey, he has a good heart. Okay,
and a perfect cousin. That's what I heard.
But your song is like a good heart is hard to find.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we need. We need some good hearts out there. And at the end of the day, Nick, there's hundreds and hundreds of good hearts out there that, sadly, the government, what's the word? The government...
Banning heart.
Yes, Nick, yes.
Are they?
Yeah, something like that.
It's worse than I thought.
Can I say something else, Nick?
But I do think they actually are in the process of banning heart. They're trying to make us hate each other, because if we spend a lot of time hating each other, then that's less time to hate them. I think that's it in a nutshell. That's the whole approach of the government, is trying to sow seeds of enmity within the people so that we concentrate less on what they, the government, are doing to us.
But can I say something else that's so important, Nick? Is that what we need to do, we need to stand up to this, because it's what is going on, it is an utter insult.
It's an outrage, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not only that, you know, I'm nearly 70, Nick, right?
70 years old.
Yeah, right. Listen to this, Nick. And I'm sitting here hearing it, seeing it and smelling it.
Oh.
And it's awful. Yeah, hold on. All I'm going to say, Nick, that I feel for the people. And in a way, you know, I mean, I'm not being negative, but I'm actually... What's the word? God, I can't get my words out. I'm actually glad I'm 70 now.
Right.
Because at the end of the day...
1 minute closer to death, yeah.
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, I'm glad I'm on my way out, because this is awful, Nick. It's absolutely awful.
Well, it seems to me as though we've hit rock bottom, or it has done over the last few years. Every day I think, well, this has got to be rock bottom, but then they find a way to make things worse. But there can't be much more of the barrel to scrape, surely. So, Lavinia, the only way is up. Can you sing that one for us?
Yes. Well, what I would like to say, Nick, is that every time I hear your voice and actually listen to LBC, it puts me up so high that I actually...
touch the sky.
Yeah, that as well, but I actually forget... that I have a stammer. I forget it because I'm so... what's the word? I'm so...
Happy.
Yeah. And it's also given me confidence.
Full of the joys of life. Well, you should have confidence, Lavinia. And you should have hope. Because things can get better from this moment on. I'm banking on it. Thanks a lot, Lavinia Grace. 0345 6060 973, text 84850, email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @lbc. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 11:30, the news headlines with Tim Daly.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Yes, hello, I've been waiting for you. Hello?
I've been waiting you on the following number, 0345 6060 973. Josie says, how come you can make decisions for a country... Hang on, I'm going to cough. Josie says, how come you can make decisions for a country, make the country feel like an unsafe place to be, then make a speech to say that you're going to make everyone feel safer, and then you get rewarded with a round of applause? Sounds a bit like gaslighting to me, says Josie. Yeah, that is, as far as the government actually has a plan, apart from just saying the word plan a lot, that seems to be their position. Vote for the Conservatives. We are the only party that can clear up the mess caused by the Conservatives. Here is a call in Harrow. Jonathan, hello.
I apologise for calling you 2 days in a row, Nick.
2 days in a row, yeah.
Because I was telling your new receptionist, I was telling her that I'm not desperate, but I had a few important points to say, and she said, well, you did call yesterday, so you will be prioritised appropriately. And I said, I'm not desperate for attention.
Yeah, you have been prioritised appropriately. Yes. Go ahead.
Look, I spent today in London.
Yes.
And I have a few things about that. But from 10:20 p.m., I have been watching on the TV an old man talking continuously for an hour and 10 minutes. And you know who that is?
An old man talking continuously for an hour and 10 minutes. Well,
yeah.
That can only be one person.
I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words.
Does he have the best words? Where'd he go?
Can you hear that?
No.
Okay, I'll put the volume up. But yeah, it's Trump. He's been... When he gives these speeches, this man has got phenomenal energy. He's a force of nature. I know you don't like him, but during his speeches on the right of his screen, he does adverts for his product.
No.
I'm being serious with you. I'm not joking. I have made a note.
You're kidding.
No. As I was on hold, I was making a note, and people think I'm joking, but it's true. The first thing...
It's an infomercial. What's he selling now?
I wrote down 5 things as I was on hold with your receptionist. Number one,
don't tell me he's selling miracles.
Well, number one, he's selling gold.
He isn't.
No. Number 2, the Trump Corporation, who are also opening buildings in Kolkata, allegedly, they are offering to clear all your debt. That was the second advert. Number 3, there is a little kid's pad it says the children's Donald Trump drawing pad. I'm not joking with you. That's number 3. Number 4, there is a little action figure of Donald.
Oh, God. What's it dressed as?
Sort of in a suit, his typical vest.
The suit with a ridiculously long tie. Is his waist wider than his shoulders, like in real life? Or have they made him svelte?
I think like Putin, not to be controversial, but like Putin, he wears a suit quite well.
There's something weird about Donald Trump's suits, and mostly it's the trouser part. I mean, the jackets they're probably made to measure, but who made to measure who? That's the question. But his trousers, the legs, they're enormous. Have you noticed how big the legs on his trousers are? Like wide, I mean, not long, but they're just enormously wide. It's like he's strapped 2 tents to his thighs.
I can't see his trousers today because he is standing behind a podium which says National Rifle Association.
Yeah, no doubt.
And the 5th thing he was selling, you really think I'm joking, but you can do a YouTube search later. The 5th thing, the last thing he was selling on his screen?
Go on.
It literally says it on the screen now if any of your listeners are watching this on like the Fox News. Ivermectin, Z-Pack and more. MakeCareGreatAgain.com. Save 15% with code TrumpBN.
I don't believe you. None of this is
genuinely,
true. Ready?
Genuinely, I can read it from the screen. It says ivermectin, Z-Pack and more, pneumonia, tick bite, pandemic, parasites. And there's a little ivermectin pack. It looks like a lunch bag, and there's 5 stars. And it says MakeCareGreatAgain.com. Save 15% with code. Take control of your health and text, and then he's got the number. So, I mean... It's literally like he's got such energy. He's like the Roy Chubby Brown. He's doing impressions of President Biden. He's doing Mexican voices, and he's reading his favorite controversial poem, The Snake.
Oh, God, not that again.
He's doing that.
You knew I was a snake before you let me in, that?
I think that a few of our racist politicians, a lot of whom ironically are people of color like me, I think they could be a bit more inventive around their racism like him, because at least he gives you a laugh whilst being a fascist.
That's true. That is very true. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be an awful, hideous person, you might as well be funny while you're at it.
Can I make 2 quick last points, if I may?
Of course.
I was in London today because I'm feeling the depression from my financial situation.
No. Right.
And so I went to a few restaurants I roll about with a few high-rolling people. So usually I say, can you pick up the bill?
Yes.
And on the tube, now I'm not a racist, but on the tube, there was a young, maybe about 15, she was a young mixed-race girl who jumped the queue and then she jumped the barrier. And I remember, I'm not a dodgy, I've never been to jail, but one of my friends who was in and out of prison, he said one of the prison officers used to say to me that after the nuclear war, the people who will be on the front line will be the prisoners. And when I saw her beating the law, what is the rock song? I beat the law and the law won me.
Yeah, I fought the law, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the law, I win.
The law beat me right back, yeah, like very severely, over and over again.
Hello?
Yes?
It was so packed in London today, oh my God, but she's the new pandemic we're facing is a militant feminism. I'm not a sexist. That's true.
Militant feminism is the new pandemic, right.
Because when I came back from the central London with my high rollers, we were in a shop actually, and the cheapest suit was £480.
The cheapest what?
Suit, S-U-I-T.
Suit, right.
Yeah. But when I came back to the Harrow, there was a young English girl with her Chinese girlfriend, and there was a skinhead racist, and he was saying something to them, and the white young girl said, "You say that to me again, you racist, and I will knock your bleeping head off." The new woman's a cocknick. So,
right. What's that going to do with? What's that going to do with suits? Nothing.
No,
you just threw that in there.
I'm people washing because, Mike Tyson said that before the woman, and Nick, you and I are not spring chickens, are we?
No.
But in the past, can you imagine with the skinheads and teddy boys, could a woman say that to them? Mike Tyson said that the women are now the equals. They are not subordinates. The militant feminists, maybe with reason, are equal to us. And can I just end on this?
Mike Tyson said that?
Yeah, he said that before the women's were subordinate to the men's, but now you have to talk to women like they're equals.
Mike Tyson, the boxer. The boxer.
He gives very good interviews.
Right. Okay.
You said James O'Brien should have him on the full disclosure, but I can't tell James O'Brien because he put me on idiot's corner. He did. It's true. He blocked me. On Twitter.
Idiot's corner. Right.
Yeah. Can I end on this point? When I was
as soon as possible. Yes. Go ahead.
Now listen. When I was in the Mayfair today, I saw to the left when I was with these high-rolling people. I saw to the left there were homeless people, and then to the right, you know what I saw?
What?
2 or 3 personalized Mercedes with personalized plates and private drivers, and I thought, who are the idiots who voted for this? And obviously, I might have been one of them, but I'm not responsible because I'm easily led. But if you tolerate this, your children will be next, isn't it?
Your children will be next, that's right.
Rock and roll!
All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Jonathan. 0345 6060 973. You know what else Mike Tyson said?
I am very sorry that I screwed up. Totally I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am. I'm sorry.
He's very apologetic.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Hot H-O-T-A-I-R.
Stephen texts, talking about this government having integrity. I just read that, quotes, an Essex businessman who won government contracts paying his company £3.5 million a day for transporting and accommodating asylum seekers has been named among the 350 richest people in the UK. Graham King, the founder and majority owner of a business empire that includes Clear Springs Ready Homes, which won a 10-year Home Office contract for housing thousands of asylum seekers, is named alongside King Charles and the Prime Minister's family on the Sunday Times rich list of the wealthiest people. It's time the people of this country woke up to what's going on here, says Stephen. And Randall says, you underestimate. Starmer has 2 secret weapons. The Tories are absolutely hated by vast millions of people in the UK. Secondly, Titchy suit size could not be more out of touch if he tried. He literally cannot roll up his sleeves. Yeah, that's actually true. He seems to have a problem with rolling up his sleeves. Maybe he's always had someone to do that for him. Camden, hello, Ellie.
Oh, hi, Nick Abbott.
Ellie.
Wow, where to start? 3 things. I'll start at the beginning. About 3 years ago, we all used to call you, thanking you for saving our sanity, till you got so fed up with it.
Oh. Well, it's not fed up. I mean, I think this was like during the COVID period, and, people just wanted to laugh and to escape a little bit, and that was a common refrain. People were constantly calling me up and saying, thank you for saving my sanity.
No, I don't think they were exaggerating.
Huh?
I don't think they're exaggerating.
Right. Well, it didn't annoy me at all. It just became a little bit too much pressure. I've been saving it up to now. That means I have to continue.
I'm going to have to do it the rest of my life.
Exactly.
Okay, so what I wanted to say was, I don't prefer any much now because I realise if I wait a while, somebody says what I'm going to say. By the way, I think Jonathan's a hidden asset.
There's nothing hidden about him. He's
anyway,
at the front of the stage, in the spotlight.
What actually happens when I listen to you now is I don't get saying...
Here,
Please.
Ellie, this is a very bad line. It sounds like you're calling me from...
Wait a minute.
Sounds like you're calling me from a submarine.
Is that better?
A bit, I guess.
Hold on, let me think not on the radio.
Have you got...
Yes, I have.
Have you got a landline, by any chance?
Not active. Is that better?
Not active. Yeah, a little bit better. Go ahead.
Okay. What actually happens now is I think most of us have passed the sanity saving point, and that's the survival everyday point. And what happens when we listen to you, what Lavinia said, we get a total reset. It's such a boost, and I'm very grateful. And I don't expect
Ellie, I'm really sorry, but I can't hear what you're saying. This is such a bad line. It's impossible, but I appreciate it. Better luck next time. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. This is another example of nothing works in this country. We've got to boil our water before we brush our teeth in it. Hell, we have to boil our water before we wash our dog in it. You can't allow your dog to go swimming in a lake anymore because it will die. How did this happen? How have we allowed this to happen? There's more of us than there are of them. Why are we putting up with it? Craig texts, stop the press. It was Meghan Markle that poisoned the water. Yeah, thanks a lot, Meghan Markle. No! You see what you've done? There must be the thought in the mind of one of the editors of the right-wing the right-wing press to get a picture of Meghan Markle drinking a fresh, delicious, sparkling, clean glass of water and put it next to miserable people in Devon queuing for bottled water, just to compare and contrast. Here is Meghan Markle openly drinking water while people in England are suffering. Leo says, Jeremy Hunt looks like the doll from the Saw movie franchise. I didn't see it. I saw about the first 5 minutes of that film, Saw, when the lights blinked on, and from memory, I think 2 people are chained to radiators, aren't they? Or is it just one? But at that moment, I thought, this is not a film for me. So I didn't actually get to the part where there was a doll, but yeah, I can imagine. One of those unblinking dolls. What's gone on with his face? Howard texts, it doesn't matter who we vote for, the government always gets in. Well, that's just a fact. Let's have Ranjit. Oldbury.
Hey, mate, you okay?
Yes, good,
oh,
thanks.
yeah, you're right. Yeah. You know, you've heard the phrase, Rome wasn't built in a day, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, but it's taken them 14 years to destroy it, though.
That's right.
Yeah. So when the next Labour government comes in, you know, it's going to be, you know, back to square one. They're going to have to rebuild it. It's going to take them a long time. We've all agreed on that.
Yeah, probably 2 terms before we notice a difference. Yeah.
Definitely 2 terms. And if I was advising, you know, to Keir Starmer today, I'd say to him, right, tell the banks that they can't borrow any more money to any company that's going to pay dividend, yeah? Because you can't borrow against your mortgage to buy against your house over the odds of what it's worth, can you? You know, say if your house is worth $500,000, you can't borrow $2 million against it, can you? That's illegal.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
that would be bad business practice. Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to say stuff like that, right? And then, you know, this bit where he was talking about immigrants are net contributors to this country.
Yes.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you. I mean, if you look at, people like Rishi Sunak and James Cleverly and all that, they might fiddle it. No, the people like my dad, he came from India with nothing. He worked hard here all of his life, right? And a lot of my cousins and my uncles and all my Asian and Jamaican black friends, they've all worked hard here because we came from countries, right, where we had nothing, right? They came
so
here
you
to
are
work.
motivated, exactly.
We are
It's not
motivated.
it's not an opinion of mine. It's an established fact that immigrants not average, but overall contribute more financially to this country than they take, and more than people who were born here.
Yeah. Okay, I'm born here. You know, I do contribute a lot towards the taxis as well. And, you know, and this is going to sound really funny, but, you know, even the illegal immigrants, right, they actually contribute a lot more because they work on slave labour wages, right, to make some of these greedy employers very rich as well.
Delivering pizzas on the back of a moped.
Or even the illegal immigrants that are being housed in these prisons where the guy's got that that contract. Oh, can I just say, someone sent me a message from America. He's your number one fan, somebody called Will Ban from Maryland. You know, he says when he comes to England, he's going to come and visit my chippy and going to come and visit you.
Well, I think he can stop at your chippy. He definitely isn't going to visit me. I'm redoubling security.
No, and so what I'm saying is there is a lot of lucrative business that's been made from these people on the boats as well.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah? Because people have been awarded these contracts. You know, if you'll Rishi Sunak's third cousin's removed twice, you're going to get the contract, right?
Coincidentally,
coincidentally, these are the and you know, going back to the original point I made, right? None of us can borrow 10 times the value of our house, right? And when everybody knows that your house isn't... So these companies are doing bad. Why are the government still releasing money to them? That's one question. Sir Keir Starmer, he should ask them kind of questions. Say, mate, why are you doing this? Because what you're doing now, you're speaking in opposition, right? Rishi Sunak, if you listen to his vocabulary and everything now, right, they're blaming Labour for everything, right? What's his name?
That seems to be, as much as they have a plan, the plan seems to be to pretend that they have not been in power for the last 14 years and everything is Labour's fault.
Yeah, and Jeremy Hunt, you know, his speech yesterday was probably one of the most terriblest I've ever heard, right? And you know when we used to say Rishi Sunak talks like one of those dolls where you pull the string? Yeah,
yes.
Okay. And Jeremy Hunt, he started to do the same thing, and that's why he's got that face. I reckon he's an AI thing, right?
Yeah, if that man is not made of plastic, then I'm a baboon.
Yeah, and then about the water, right? That's just ridiculous. There's something I want to say, but you're going to say to me you're a listener with material and you might cut me off. Mm-hmm. But can I say it anyway?
All right, then.
It's not rude, yeah. Swimming in the rivers used to make your day, right? But now swimming in the sea can make your whole week, to be honest with you. You get it?
Oh. A listener with material.
Oh, no.
Just don't think about it. If it passed you by and you didn't clock it, don't give it another moment's thought. Thanks a lot, Ranjit. This text says, give it a rest. The Conservatives have done pretty good under the circumstances. There's wars, pandemics, etc. I don't think Labour could do any better. And Gordon Brown sold off all our gold. Let's not forget the note. From a person who didn't leave their name. Oh, my God. They're still out there. Whoa, wouldn't be any better under Labour, would it? You've got to be kidding me. Are you a robot?
Affirmative.
Yeah, I think one of them bots. A Russian bot, I bet. People still going on about Gordon Brown selling off all our gold. Well, he didn't sell all our gold off, and at most he did not take up the opportunity or foolishly missed the opportunity of making about 20 billion. Hang on. Of making about 20 billion. 20 billion pounds is not nothing. In fact, it's about half of the cost of a test and trace app for your phone that didn't work. So, you know, there's that. Gordon Brown, the last serious person to run this country. What do you reckon, Bodge?
I can't comment on that. I
can't comment on that. I'll take that as a yes. Yes? No. But wouldn't be better under Labour, would it? They're still out there. It's hard to believe, but it's true. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
You're wondering what it's all about, and I can't tell you because I don't know myself.
What number are you calling from?
It's 0345 6060 973. Peter texts, I think that once the British people voted for Brexit, all the other nations realised that the whole country was stupid, so the whole country was ripe for the picking. The Tories knew what had happened and decided to milk it for every drop and then lose the next election, blame Labour, and win the election in 5 years' time and claim that all the successes that Labour has had for themselves. Yeah, I would I'd bet money, a small amount, that is precisely what's going to happen. We're basically going to salt the earth. The forthcoming budget will knock taxation, particularly the tax that the rich pay. They'll eliminate some of it. Inheritance tax, specifically. Thereby daring, if not forcing, the Labour government to come in and raise it again. And then they'll be able to say, well, there you are, you see, Labour's the the party of high taxes. And there's just enough people in the country, I mean, there's quite a few now who say, you know, God, hang on. There's just enough now who say, well, it wouldn't be God, I might not make it to the end of the show. There's just enough people that say, well, it wouldn't be any better under Labour, would it? You wait in 5 years' time, after being constantly pummeled with the propaganda that this is all Labour's fault. I would not be surprised if Labour get 5 years, and in a desperate attempt to turn things around, they won't be able to achieve any great success in that regard within that time frame, because it would be too much of a mess to clear up. Economies are very hard to turn round. Like oil tankers, takes a while. And so in that time, all of the right-wing press are going to be hammering home that all the things that ail the land are the fault of the Labour Party. And they'll get voted out in 5 years' time, and then the Tories will start helping themselves to everything that used to be ours, all over again. God, it's like we're on a roller coaster and we can't get off. Orpington. Hello, Tony.
Hello, Nick.
Tony.
Now, I have a lot of sympathy with you right now because there's been a big cough around. I've had the cough, so I sympathise with that. Do you remember that Budweiser advert with the frogs? Like, you know, that Budweiser advert?
Yeah.
That's what I think. Yeah, that's what it's like. You've obviously got it now. I've had it for the last few weeks.
Oh,
I'm
God.
Actually,
few weeks?
Yes, I have. Yeah. I'm actually with a couple of friends. Now, I want to talk to you about the water, but they're in the London Borough of Bexley. I'm in the London Borough of Bromley, which obviously seems to be right-wing. God knows why. Thames Water. And this is coming from I don't mean to be like a voting like the Eurovision, but they are. I'm up there. They're in London Borough of Bexley. I'm London Borough of Bromley, but they voted Conservative. God knows why. So I don't want to be like Eurovision right now. But we've had brown water. Can you believe that?
You've had brown water in Bexley.
But yeah, no, they're getting the same thing as what I'm getting. That's why you need to run the taps for at least 10 seconds before drinking it.
I've had a bubbling. Hang on.
No,
I've had bubbling water in my toilet, like water, air bubbles coming up through my toilet, which is not a happy experience.
Yes. Well, I think Thames Water need to sort this out. This has been going on for weeks. I've had it where I'm going. So, but where I'm living and where I am right now with a couple of friends, they are getting brown water. So you have to run it for 10 seconds before you get clear water.
Oh, God.
So something needs to be, it's not nice, is it? So that's what I had to call up for, because I think it's a disgrace. What's your opinion?
It's a disgrace.
Yeah. Are you all right then, Nick?
No. No.
Okay, no. Okay, yeah, okay. And also, let's change the subject.
Yes.
Dame Priti Patel. Can you believe that?
No.
No. Now, I if it was Dame Kelly Holmes, I know she might be listening because she always replies to me on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
She's a tent girl. But Dame Priti Patel, I think, is a disgrace. Yes.
It's just extraordinary. I mean, like, for what? Why is she a dame? I mean, why is that girl that Boris Johnson put in the House of Lords? Why is she there? I mean, why is any of this happening to us?
Well, it's because Boris Johnson was allowed.
Okay, all right. Whatever you're about to say, Tony. I'm going to just draw a veil over it, but thanks for that. Yeah, I think we all have our good God. I think we all have our opinion about that. Wow, things have got considerably worse with me. Only another 50 minutes to go. Kiri says, the King's portrait, nobody expected it to be so red. Very red. Very... God, very, very red. Right, let's get somebody else on to do all the talking. Belsize Park. Hang on. Belsize Park. Judy.
Hello.
Yes, Judy.
I don't want to worry you, which means I'm going to worry you.
But
I've actually got COVID now.
Oh, yeah.
And it started with a really bad sore throat and coughing.
Right.
So have you done a test?
No. What difference would it make?
Have you had COVID?
Huh?
Have you had COVID?
Oh, I don't know.
Right.
I assume so. I mean, I went through a few periods of weird things happening.
Well, I can only speak from my personal experience. This isn't why I phoned you, but I thought I just had a bad cough and a sore throat, and I've got COVID.
But what are you doing with that information?
I've got some tablets to take.
Tablets?
With an unpronounceable name.
Try and pronounce it for me.
Pardon?
Go ahead, pronounce it.
I haven't got the box with me, so I can't. But they're tablets that you can get from a chemist on prescription via your doctor, and...
But what do they do?
You take them for 5 days, and they're supposed to make you better.
But do they?
I don't know. I've only started them today.
Oh, right. I didn't think they had I didn't think they had anything for it.
Well, I don't know. I've been given these tablets, so I'll give them a go.
Right.
And the reason I phoned was this thing with the water.
Yeah.
Has it occurred to anybody that if we're being told to boil our water, all our gas bills and electricity bills are going to rocket?
Yes. Yeah, because the kettle is about the least economical electrical thing. I can't think it. I can't speak or think now.
No, I'll speak and think for you then.
Please.
Because when you're told about boiling water, it sounds, fine, okay, boil a kettle. But if you fill a kettle and boil it, you are using electricity.
Huge
or
amounts.
You fill a pan and put it on the gas stove, you're using gas.
Right.
It's also not good for the environment. And if you go and buy bottled water,
that's bad
they're
too.
in plastic,
Yeah.
which again is not good for the environment.
Correct.
So I thought, what with it being 2024, maybe we could live in a country where you turn on a tap and clean water comes out. But is that too much to ask?
I don't know, maybe we should move to somewhere like Africa.
Maybe. I mean...
Mexico, give that a go.
It is absolutely scandalous. But I don't know what can we do?
I'm just all out of ideas, Judy. It doesn't seem to make any difference what we do. I mean, well, no, that's not entirely accurate, because what we're doing is nothing. We're doing the British thing of shrugging our shoulders and saying, oh, it really is awful, but mustn't grumble, which doesn't really get us anywhere.
Are the government going to give us maybe a rebate on our income tax or our benefits
You're funny.
Because of the bills that we're going to be paying for the gas and electric?
Yeah, let's ask Rishi Sunak that.
No.
It's a big no from him.
Well, that's because he doesn't pay for his.
No, correct.
So, I'm sorry to depress you.
So, are you boiling your water then?
I've been doing that for weeks.
Have you?
Yeah. I've been boiling it and then putting it in a jug and then letting it cool and put it in the fridge. And then we use that for drinking water. But we don't know anyway. I'm not a scientist. I have no idea whether boiling it actually kills whatever's in it that's killing us. Because that, I mean, maybe a scientific person could tell us.
And the thing is, the people in Devon were asking, there's the authorities and the water company, they were saying that there's something wrong. God. They were saying that there's something wrong with our water. We're getting sick. It tastes funny and it's brown. And the authorities were saying, no, don't worry, everything is fine. Drink away.
Well,
and now the same people who told them before that their brown, funny-tasting water was fine are saying again, oh, the problem's been solved. You can drink away now. Your water is fine. So you're going to believe them?
Well, I know South Devon very, very well indeed. And it's gorgeous. You know, it's a lovely, lovely place for a holiday. I don't know what's going on with the sea there at the moment, whether people dare swim.
God, no. I wouldn't go anywhere near it.
But it's a nightmare. I'm sorry. I used to ring you with cheery phone calls. And now every single time there's something horrible.
Yeah, and it's because of...
this government.
Exactly.
Yes. So I hope you haven't got COVID, but it might be a good idea for you to go to a chemist and get a test kit and test yourself.
But then what?
Well, then you don't go into work because you'll be spreading it round all your colleagues.
No, I have no colleagues. I'm in a room on my own. That's the thing about being on the radio. It's like it's not being in a room full of people like in an ordinary...
Yeah,
oh, my God, I can barely speak.
But won't somebody come in that room after you?
No. I mean, not for... not till tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because everything you touch, you're contaminating.
Oh.
If you've got COVID.
Yeah.
But I do hope you haven't, because it's not very pleasant.
Well, what happens next?
I don't know. I can let you know next week.
But next week I'll know myself.
Well, hopefully you'll do a test, and the test will show negative, and then you'll be okay.
Yeah, but I'm not okay. If the test shows negative, I'm still as I am.
Yes, but at least you've got the consolation that it's not complicated with COVID.
No, but it doesn't make any difference, because I mean, what I've got is an illness of some sort, and it's probably catching. So my behaviour wouldn't change whether I know whether it's COVID or not. I mean, if it's a cold, it'd be the same thing, right?
Have you been to the doctor?
God, no. The doctor? Were you joking? How would you do that?
Well, we're very lucky. We have an amazingly wonderful practice that we belong to.
Really?
Right. So my only other suggestion is what you need is Jewish penicillin.
What's that?
Chicken soup.
Chicken soup, right. Yeah, I could go with
I
a
can't make it for you because
No,
I'll
you can't,
come
no.
over and spread COVID to you.
Exactly, yeah. Chicken soup.
Yes.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I'll down a couple of pints of chicken soup at my leisure. All right.
Yeah. It might be. I hope you feel better very soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, Judy. 0345 6060 973. This is it's not sounding very good, is it? You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Maybe I should just whisper. It's at LBC, but don't tell anybody.
This is LBC. Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Everything is going extremely well.
You bet your life. You bet your life it is. What's weird is I don't feel bad, and I open my mouth and I start to speak, expecting my normal voice, because I don't have a sore throat or anything. But then I can hear myself speaking like this, and I'm thinking, who's that? Phil texts, if you don't think people are angry, take a look outside. Well, the thing with that, though, Phil, is that people are angry, but they're angry at the wrong things. We're very easily led. Can we admit that? We're not persuaded, we're told to be angry at flags. Oh, well, it's not red, white and blue, it's a little bit of purple in there. Fury as flag colour is changed. There's never a day goes by without the headline Fury as ... in one of the rabid tabloids. That's what sells. Then it's not by accident they keep writing that. They know that it makes us click on that story. They can tell because the statistics show that that is true. All they have to do is write Fury as, and people are already embracing that story, ready to get furious themselves. And we're furious at flags, and we're furious at rainbows, and we're furious at scones and unisex toilets and all of this blooming nonsense. And we're not angry at what we should be angry about. But you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Let's see. Bodmin, hi Malcolm.
Oh, hello Nick, how are you? Hey, have you got a voice double available for 10 days? You're going to need one, I think, mate.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, you're going to... I've been monitoring you here in Cornwall, and over the radio, you don't sound great, to be honest with you. I know whether it's reception. So, yeah, plenty of lemon in whatever it is. You drink lemon in honey, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some beers.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. Keep so strong. Lay off the beer if I was you.
Right.
I'm Angry Nick, Mr. Angry. Do you remember which radio host did that character? Didn't he?
Yeah.
Steve Wright.
Steve Wright.
Still
miss Steve Wright, by the way.
Well, I'm angry because if I could just clarify what I spoke about last evening, I raised about my friend in Merthyr, Jeff, the wildlife park and the Hoover building, and I was going to come round to mention about the Hoover building that it was actually announced yesterday it was being closed after 60, 70 years.
You know what? I'm gonna dial up a picture of that building, Hoover. Where is it?
It's lovely. It's a factory, Nick. Right?
Where is it?
But it's in Merthyr Tydfil in South Wales.
Merthyr, right.
And it is classic art deco.
Oh, okay.
And it's Gilbert and but yeah. So last night I just wanted to throw in some local knowledge about Merthyr, but I blew the opportunity. And that factory, like at one time, there was 5,000 people working in it, and they made washing machines for Hoover.
But it was bought out by the company Candy in recent years. But until recently, it was only used as a distribution centre in Wales. So
what are they going to do with it?
Well, it's a listed building, apparently. So
Is it? Good.
they won't do anything with it. Yeah,
Right.
It'll just... I mean, they could knock down the factory part, which is probably 9/10 of it, and just keep... the section of building which is brick and is the listed bit, because, like I say, it's this huge plant mine. You look at it on Google Earth, and it is flipping big. But it's one of those things that from when you were a kid, and I'm sure you'll have it the same about in Glasgow, certain buildings and areas that made a mark on you, and that was one away from my home. That. Well,
it's interesting that Hoover had the really famous building. It was on the Westway as you go out of London, and it was a similar, but it had a more finery in its detail than the one that I'm looking at in Merthyr. But that's ideal for flats. I mean, the size of the windows is perfect.
Yeah. Well, that would be an use, wouldn't it? I suspect. Keep the two of you, because it is literally only the two elevations. The rest of it goes miles and miles back, and it is literally steel-framed building that we're cladding on it.
Right.
But anyway, look, the reason I rang in and the reason I'm angry is, I don't know whether you've heard already this evening, but a certain Wes Streeting, now I shouldn't have mentioned his name, but if a health secretary said to you, hey, look, mate, what I'm going to do to sort out the NHS is I'm going to make everybody work evenings and weekends, and we're going to be doing a week's work in a day. Now, first of all, you'd think that's got to be a Tory, isn't it? Yeah? And secondly, you'd think that fellow's not going to last long in the job. But if you look on Tinternet, Wes Streeting, or it's actually on the front page of a newspaper. I won't look at it now, but look it up for yourself. I'll get your able assistant, try, Nick. The front page of a Sunday paper, I think it is, or maybe tomorrow's paper. He's written an article, and these are the things he's saying, and he's going to clamp down on whistleblowers, which is on victimising whistleblowers.
Oh, yes, that's better.
So he's to protect whistleblowers, which is a good thing. But seriously, Nick, this is where Streeting, the Labour Health Secretary, is going to force people, nurses and doctors, who do 12-hour shifts. They might do 4 on, say 5 off, or whatever they work. And it's an absolute scandal.
He's telling them to work evenings and weekends. That's what you're talking about, right? Yeah.
Yes. The guy is off his tree. I mean, this is this is a Labour Health Secretary, Labour, workers' rights, unions, and this absolute clown disaster of a prospective health secretary. He's got to go, as far as I'm concerned. Starmer has to get rid of him. No question about it, Nick.
Well, hang on, Matt, but okay, here's how the Telegraph are writing it. NHS staff will be told to work evenings and weekends under Labour plans to slash waiting lists. Okay, slashing waiting lists is a good thing. How else are you going to do it other than employing more people? Now, that takes time to get them through. Either we just steal them from abroad, or we train more people, but that's going to take a long time.
Yeah, but he's also saying in that article, and I'm going to clamp down on foreign workers. I don't want foreign workers here.
God.
The bloke, Nick, is an absolute... I've been saying it to you for months and months and months. There's 2 of them. A former colleague of yours, Lammy, is the other one, and his bloke Streeting. When I look back to the Blair years, and you look at the calibre of people, and honest to God, these are the only 2 people, and I'm a bit of a studier of the Labour Party, if you like, and I can't think of anybody who comes close to these pair for liabilities. And Starmer has got to do something with this clown, I tell you, because he is going to lose. I mean, forget losing the left vote in the Labour Party. He's going to lose the middle of the Labour Party at this rate. This boy.
I think what probably keeps Keir Starmer up at night is not that people will decide to vote Tory, is that people will decide not to leave their house on voting day at all.
But Nick, this guy Streeting, he's the one a few months back who was picking fights with the doctors' union, the BMA, and he's I just don't get the fella. I mean, if I was taking over the NHS, the first thing I would want to do is to build people back up after battering they've had from COVID,
Yes.
not telling them now,
Right.
after 3 years of that flipping disaster.
Yeah.
You fellas, I'm sorry, but you're going to be working nights and weekends, and you're going to be doing a week's work in a day, my friend, so crack on. Nick, the first to go. The first to go, as far as I'm concerned. What do you think? Seriously, what do you think, Nick?
I think he said things that make him sound like a Tory to me.
Yeah.
Asking nurses and doctors to work weekends and overtime for overtime pay. I mean, he's not suggesting that they work for free. And some of them might actually enjoy that. Some of them might welcome it.
Look, they're going to need overtime the way they're being underpaid and they're being overworked. But for me, Nick, number one rule of Labour Club is you don't act like a Tory. It's madness. Madness.
Yeah. The number one rule is you don't talk about the Labour Club.
Right, Nick, hurry up and make yourself well soon and hang on in there, buddy.
Yeah, all right.
We need you every day.
Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. I think probably the the way to do it is to not fight the throat, to just keep talking softer and softer, because when I project, it seems to make it worse. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm just going to relax. I think whispering is probably the way forward. Can I do a show like this? 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 12:30, the news headlines. Oh, hang on, one moment. The news headlines with Tim Daly.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
And remember, darling, I don't work before 10 in the morning and never after 4:30 in the afternoon.
And even outside of those hours, I don't really work. I don't really work that much. Only another 28 minutes to go. Plymouth. Hello, Julie.
Nick, I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for asking. But funnily enough, listening to you last night, I got a sort of little bit of a sore throat to the left. And I thought, oh, no. So I went and took a couple of off the sort of shelf tablets. Yeah. And I'm only, because I live in Plymouth, which is in Devon, I'm only drinking things that comes in bottles.
Yeah.
Like
beer.
Tall brown bottles and and milk and things. I'm not going near the water.
No.
But if you find it is something, as Judy said, then yes, your chemist does do they've got antivirals now for that.
Really?
Yeah, if it is that. I mean, it probably isn't. It's just
antivirals. What's an antiviral?
I don't know, but it came out. I don't know. I've not had one myself. But,
what colour are the pills?
Well, probably a red and a blue one.
Oh,
them both.
Well, I like the sound of that. I'll go purple.
Yeah, well, purple's a nice colour.
Yeah, I'll be a purple pill eater.
No, but I wanted to ask you, because I just wanted, and just say yes, just at me, or yes or no. How's that Jigsaw going on the old underground?
Ah, well, funny you should ask that, because I was going to, I bought a jigsaw puzzle of the London Underground, and I thought this will be easy, because this is the second jigsaw puzzle I've done in my adult life. I did one, when I was a child. You did the round
one. You didn't. There was a piece missing.
I did a round one with butterflies, and the thing is, I found it incredibly difficult and annoying, because one butterfly looks pretty much like another, and there wasn't any indication. Like obvious indication where each piece should be. So it was just like trial and error, which I just found irritating. So I thought,
there a piece missing, Nick?
Yes, there was.
Oh my goodness!
And do you know which piece it was, Julie?
The monarch butterfly's left wing.
No, the last piece I was going to put in.
Of course. Well, yeah, of course. God bless you.
So I thought, You know what? I like the sound of the London Underground Jigsaw, because this will be a piece of cake, because they're all coloured lines and it'll be easy. You know, one line will follow another. Yeah, exactly. But the thing with the London Underground map is all of the information is in like a football-sized area in the middle, and all of the rest of it is just white.
Yeah. Like, actually, when I think about it, when I used to live in, I know you've had a few, you get a few callers from Bromley, but when I used to go up to London and then take the Underground, like the actual map that you look at the side, it's all white, it's like a long strip, and there's a lot of white, as you say.
Way too much, yeah. So I got the centre bit done. That was relatively easy. But then all the rest of it was just, it was like the butterfly thing, but worse, because there was no information on it at all. It was just endless amounts of white pieces.
Did you get your scissors out to make them fit?
Now, I've got building going on at my place, and I needed the space on the table to pile things up on. So I had to, halfway through doing it, put it back in the box.
Well, fair enough. You enjoyed you enjoyed the bit you knew, so
I
you
guess
did it,
so,
really.
Yeah.
So that's it.
So I'll have another run at it later.
Yes. And also, are you not getting any sort of fluids brought into you tonight?
Oh, I got fluids up to my eyeballs.
Yeah, you go home and have some honey and lemon and a bit of a tot in it, or whatever they call it.
No alcohol on a work day.
I mean, I know that you're very fastidious with your work, and we are delighted that you're going to be on for 11 nights. But I'm not sure.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
Yes, maybe you will. And but take care, and lovely to chat.
Well, thanks, Julie. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, this is the second of what's supposed to be an 11 show in a row run, but well, we'll find out when we get there, I guess. Let's have Sambat. Hello, John.
Oh, yeah.
John.
I sorry about your throat, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, there's nothing worse, especially in your job.
Well, yeah.
I mean, communication and all that.
I know.
No, it's a
I wonder about I wonder about people like Mick Jagger or just some artist who's doing a massive tour of like 200 dates, each of which will pay them £1 million. How do they keep well? Because you'd think that their management would wrap them in cotton wool and not allow them out of the hotel room ever.
Maybe does he have voice coaches and all that kind of stuff where they exercise the vocal cords and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'm sure, but eventually they're going to get ill, you would think. And I mean, if I was in a band and my job was to sing, and it was going to be for 2 hours to 10,000 fans, well, I'd have to cancel. But then if you cancel, oh my God, the cost of doing that, millions and millions, because you'd have to pay everybody back their tickets, which would be $1 million, and then redo the show, which will probably be another $1 million because you've screwed up your touring schedule, and so I wonder how they maintain health.
Well, you warned LBC that's what it's going to cost them for your missing.
Yeah, doubtful. No.
What's a lanyard?
It's that thing that goes around your neck that people in offices have. It's have their card on the end of it to open doors.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
You've been saying lanyard for the last couple of nights.
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
it's
what
like
is a lanyard?
Yeah, it's like a necklace made of like plastic material that's got your magic door opening card on it if you work in an office. I've got one around my neck right now.
Well, I didn't get all of what was going on. What's the big deal about it?
Well, the Minister for Common Sense got upset because she saw a civil servant with a rainbow-coloured lanyard. So, she leapt into action because that's the most important thing facing the country.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. That's the standard of the government we've got.
Yeah, nutshelled. Yeah.
And the thing about the water companies, 25 years? Have we got to give them 25 years notice?
15, I think.
15?
Something like that, yeah. Unless they go bust. And it seems to be that many of them are about to go bust, so we should be able to pick them up for nothing. But you know what? This government won't do that. This government will take our money and pour it into those companies so no executive or foreign shareholder is inconvenienced. Does anybody want to... That's my bet. Does anybody want to take that bet?
Well, they'll use the off... What's the... There's Ofcom and off what?
Off what?
What's the water one?
Yeah, off what?
Off what? Well, they'll do it through off what. I
wonder if off what actually exists. I mean, is there anybody there? Is it it's probably just an empty building with a telephone on a desk?
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's just a front for the government,
They don't appear to be doing us any favours, but,
And then the government are really quiet about what's gone on. Have you heard I haven't heard any minister say, this is terrible what's going on with our water supply.
Yeah, well, they're too busy shouting at rainbows.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I mean, for 25 years, you just say, I got a printout of all the companies. It sounds sad, but I can't use computers, so I got a neighbour to produce it for me. A printout of who owns all the water companies, like United Utilities.
Yeah.
It's Chinese.
It's wealth funds for the super rich, and it's a foreign sovereign wealth funds for for foreign governments, and it's
you could if you're a government, you call the government their government and say, look, we're going to kick this crowd out, and we know they're a front for your government, but we're kicking them out because they're not doing a job. So what are you going to do about it? Nothing.
You would think that there's some way around it. I mean, if these companies are polluting Lake Windermere, for crying out loud, if they're polluting our rivers, and if they're polluting the sea off our shores, we are still in debt to them. We still have to abide by some dodgy contract that was written and signed decades ago. Hell no. We should be putting these people in jail, allowing their companies to go bust, and then picking them up for nothing. John, got to go. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Claire in York. Hello, Claire.
Hi.
Claire.
Are you struggling there a bit?
A little bit.
I just called up about what Malcolm was saying. He's read a Sunday Telegraph headline, I think. What Wes has actually said, and he's tweeted about it, is that he's going to increase the overtime pay for extra shifts at evenings and weekends to cut the waiting list.
Yeah.
And he says it's already working in a handful of hospitals, and to spread that out across the, and he said it's going to cost 1.1 billion and paid directly to the staff, so that it's not going through agencies,
right?
So that they get paid, so that they get. At the moment, there's not much incentive. People are willing to do extra shifts, but there's not the incentive because the overtime isn't as much.
Yeah.
And the foreign, they're wanting to reduce foreign healthcare is a long-term project of Labour to train more, because they're bringing in people from red countries, which they're not supposed to do because they're
What's a red country?
It's a country where you're not supposed to take their essential, health workers because those countries need them. And that, at the moment, that's what this country is doing. We're basically raping these poor countries of their much-needed skilled workers.
Could you put it another way?
Well, and to bolster our inability and malpractice of not training enough people here.
Yes, correct.
And bolstering with cheaper labour,
yes.
and Labour want to increase the wages of overtime so that if people do want to work overtime, they will get better paid conditions.
Yeah, but he also said that levels of productivity must improve. Now, what does he mean by that?
I'm trying to think. When I heard him on Sheila Fogarty's show, I think what he thinks is that technology. Now, I don't know about this, but I think he thinks that that there are lots of ways that technology could cut the
waiting lists.
Well, not necessarily. Well, maybe, but also the bureaucracy sort of slows everything down.
Bureaucracy.
Pardon?
In the NHS, bureaucracy slows things down.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's the right word, but there's a lot of repeating of things. I've heard people call in to shows from doctors saying that there is a lot of wasted time. So I don't know. I don't know.
Well, what we do know is that the NHS used to be better before the Tories took over on every measure, and so wouldn't it be nice to go back to square one with the Labour Party?
Well, my sister's a GP, and she's a partner at the practice, and she has never been so overworked and under pressure than she is now, and she just is desperate for a Labour government because things were so much better for her practice anyway.
Right. Well, they were better for the people doing the work and the people in the waiting room waiting for the work to be done on them. Thanks, Claire. 0345 6060 973.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
He's calling Bath. John.
Hello, Nick. I tell you, I'm slightly disappointed. I mean, the young person who spoke to me that's in your, I think producer or whatever, she's very lovely. But what I'm more surprised about is no one on your entourage has offered you a sucky sweet.
No, I just had one.
Yeah, well, that should be like in the background somewhere, because people are ringing up saying you got COVID and all this stuff just to make you sleep well.
I just ate one. Has it made a difference? Not really.
Well, to be honest, I actually like the dulcet tones when you talk quiet. It's a new genre.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you doing? That kind of thing.
Hey, baby.
Hey. But no, I was going to say that. To me, the current government, and I look at it like this, like everyone, they always say that the earth is a woman and a ship is a woman, and they say our countries are too. So if our country is, the Conservative Party right now, like a deadbeat husband or partner that doesn't want to leave. That's how I'm feeling it. It's like that we've changed the locks. We're telling them leave.
Yeah.
And it's just like they just don't take the bloody hint.
No.
Please go. Please.
Yes.
How many more hints do I have to give you?
Yeah.
We have affluence pouring through our waterworks. And also, can you imagine if that... Can you imagine, though, if that happened to one of the Tories, if they opened their tap up and that came out?
Oh, my God.
They would be the first people to charge us to clean their water system on their tax expenses. Mm-hmm. But it's just because it's happening to us, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
you know.
The little people.
Yeah, well, we are the little people. And, you know, in my case, I'm a bit shorter than you, so I feel it a bit more harder.
Right.
But I do hope your throat gets better, because, you know, but I'm not going to start getting into diagnosis and stuff like that, like some of the callers.
Right, thank you.
You know, they had a whole diagram and stuff.
Did they? Yeah, that's right.
Well, it seemed like it. It was like, if you take this, I mean, somebody mentioned Jewish penicillin. What do you do if you're a vegan? You won't be eating chicken.
Yeah, stay sick. Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, listen, it's always good to hear you. Look after yourself and have some sucky sweets by your...
All right, will do. Thanks a lot, John. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Huddersfield. David.
Nick.
David.
What's going on? You're not doing a really good job, really, of promoting Mr. Rees-Mogg, are you?
Oh, no. What have I done now?
You're letting your voice go, for one thing. I mean, you've got all this work to do, and you've got this, responsible position as his number one cheerleader, because you're looking for a reason for people to vote constructively, not just against the Conservatives, but for perhaps a Labour recognisable alternative. And I might just be able to help you with a reason.
Okay.
I don't mean to laugh at your predicament, Nick, but suffering.
Yeah.
Everybody else has been so kind, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what you need. You need a scone with some honey on it. That's what you need.
I need tough love.
You do. So, these lot of neoliberals, they're not Conservatives, right? He wants, your friend, Mr. Rees-Mogg, wants a bonfire of regulation. That's what he said about Brexit, and that's their attitude to just about everything.
Yes.
If there's a bonfire, you don't have to speak, Okay.
Can't help myself.
If you have it's habit. If the habit, Nick Abbott habit. If you have a totally business-first attitude, there's no government. And if we look at the state of the potholes, to the NHS, to everything, there's been no governance. Now then, Keir Starmer, the man of the perfect hair, as we discussed last time, a week and a bit ago, he wants to govern. He's going to be responsible. He's willing to be responsible. He wants the job. He wants the job of governance because he believes in government. And running a government, running a country, is a slightly socialist endeavour because it's not 100% focused on business. It's focused on quality services and encouraging business. Now, let me give you the final clincher. Theresa May said that austerity was at an end. But what did she do with VAT? Absolutely nothing. Left it at 20%. Nearly all small businesses have suffered as a consequence. Customers, which are the majority of people, we are all consumers, have suffered as a consequence.
Yeah.
So if they'd have cared about that, in other words, governance and encouraging spending, encouraging the economic situation to run like a blood supply, the money to flow, it would reduce VAT back down to 17.5%. And when they had the chance after austerity, between that and COVID, they didn't do it. That's the reason to vote for Keir Starmer, even though I take some convincing myself.
Well, the thing with austerity is it doesn't work. It's a con. We've been... everything that is valuable to us has been defunded, closed down, shuttered, and diminished.
You won't remember.
For the purpose of reducing the national debt. Now,
yes,
regardless of COVID...
national debt's a killer.
Regardless of COVID, the national debt has done nothing but go up ever since austerity started. So, where's the money gone?
Well, if you think... Well, it's not been put back into the system that will keep it running, has it? So if you sell all your council houses off, it's like selling all... You've said it before, way back, when you were saving everybody's sanity. You said, don't sell off the family silver because there's what you're going to do with it if you do. So what they've done, they bought magic beans instead, and there's no beanstalk, and there's no goose that lays the golden egg. So what they've done is sold us all down the river. I'm mixing metaphors, Nick.
A little bit.
Yeah. So I'm afraid that's the reason to vote for the boring but stable Mr. Keir Starmer. And yeah, it's going to cost us, but we'll get rid of potholes.
Oh, that's it? Yeah. Yes. Well, all of the above. I agree with everything that you just said, but that's not the only reason to vote for Keir Starmer.
No, but it's a new reason.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, let's agree on that. All right. Thanks a lot, David. A reason to vote for Keir Starmer is...
This government...
What more do you need to know? Let's have Tooting. Hello, Jan.
Hi, good evening, Nick. I'm sorry to hear about your... Sorry, I just have a couple of things that might be helpful, or because I'm a survivor of the Big C going back some years, and I did a lot of
the Big C. Which one? Are you talking COVID?
No,
other one?
The CAN. But I don't want to go into that now. But I've never spoken.
Wait a minute. Wait, the CON.
No, CAN.
Oh,
CER.
Right.
Yeah, that one.
Right.
But that's going back about 8 years. But so I'm a survivor. But I didn't really ring to speak about me about that. But I wanted to just quickly turn you on to certain foods that are really... Cancer is one of the... Cancer, I mean, garlic and the onion family foods are two of the strong ones for dealing with anything with the chest or they deal with they're antiviral, antibacterial, and they're high in allicin. Allicin is a chief compound in garlic, but they say, look, one of the best things you could do for your throat, whatever the cause is garlic or onions even. But garlic has, it's like if you, and the chief thing, the healing thing in the garlic is called allicin. And the thing is that if you chop the garlic up and leave it for about 10 minutes, it develops allicin. It's not there immediately. Like certain foods, when you chop them up, like broccoli, for instance, is a very healthy food. Packed with antioxidants, they call these things that help heal and help fight all kinds of infections.
So in a nutshell, eat garlic.
Well, not just eat it anyway, but I don't mean eat it. It's good if you have it with honey. You know, you can crush the...
Yeah, but I'm not going to, like, rub it on my feet. I'm going to eat it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so eat garlic. Message received. Thanks, Jan. Now, if you missed any of... I wonder if I can get through this. If you missed any of today's show, you can listen back on Catch Up on Global Player, which is the official LBC app, where you can also pause and rewind live radio. If you don't have it, it's free. Get it from your app store or globalplayer.com. Now, it says on my screen I'll be back tonight at 10 o'clock, but well, I suppose we'll see. Coming up at 4, it's Ollie Dugmore, but first Clyde Ball, 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 but first Clyde Ball.